I've worked with mamas. They call their program Growing Mamas, and we worked on money, things financial, and you'll hear more and more about that. Um, I was very proud and still am that the institutions that asked me to come and help with things financial were very clear. They wanted me to bring this tool set or a healer builder. It wasn't that they wanted me to come and bring flow charts and spreadsheets. And um, I want to say that I remember the growing mamas at True Living Well, they were just so relieved. They took a deep, they took an exhale when they realized I wasn't going to come and fuss at them and put them down for not having a good budget and not having their 401k intact and not having used a Rule 72 when they were 18. Uh, and, uh, that's not my style anyway, to beat people upside the head. They were just very, very relieved. And I was happy too. And I'm going to tell you as I go some things I learned about us as a people and about them, especially that they taught me about money. So this tool set, Warrior Healer Builder, it does have to do with first, the warrior part has to do with challenging oppression. And yeah, being clear that oppression exists. That, that there's been a long night of oppression for us as a people. And that's not to take away from a lot of our glory, because we know that for most of the time that we've known in this world, we were ruling the world. And we all look forward to being back at that point again, because the world will be in a much better position as we take that leadership again. And we will have to take it. I believe we'll have to take it. So the warrior part of
Hashay.
it.
Yes, yes, I definitely agree.
Sheo. um, the warrior part of this model has to do with challenging oppression, resisting oppression. Okay. And that is for us challenging the people, policies, and practices that contend to oppress upon us and to oppress us. The healer part has to do with the injected wounds of oppression. We say injected because we didn't ask for them. We didn't get up one morning and tell ourselves that we weren't beautiful, that we weren't smart, that we weren't capable. Those wounds came down to us. They came down to us through this injected oppression. And while we're not responsible for having put it into our minds, right, and into our consciousness, we are responsible and we take responsibility for healing those wounds. And part of what we do in Warrior Healer Builder work is to get clear about the wounds that have been passed down to us that we need to heal up. Then the last part of this tool set, builders, when we're building, whatever we're building ourselves, uh, as individuals, we're building relationships, maybe marital, spousal relationships with our children, institutions, businesses, organizations. The key part of the builder part, I'm going to get the spotlight here. Key part of the builder part is building trust. Building trust. So, in our greatest movements, including the Black sustainability movement, there's a lot of work that we want to do together, because we know that we are stronger together. As a people, we're very strong together. And we also know that the elephant in the room for us very often is this piece when it comes to building in terms of trust, not only in each other, also trust in ourselves. So to jump on, let me stop my annotation and ooh, hold on. There we go. I have to remember to click this in order to be able to go forward. So we're going to look at the thing, budgeting, right? Budgeting, most people would agree, is a great tool. Most financial planners would say that, yeah, if you're gonna do well with money, budgeting is key. As individuals, it's also a key in organizations, businesses, institutions. And we're gonna look at it. I'm gonna right now, as quickly as I can, give you just a little peek into three of our premier tools. And when I say peek, Mama Ray and I were speaking earlier, we're always trying to figure out like how to like let people know about these tools, because you know, if I had like 3, 4 hours, I could take it on teaching you, introducing you to each of the tools, and I don't. I have just a few minutes. So just gonna say a little bit to pique your interest, hopefully. Again, feel free to use the chat. And brother, I was happy with your Ashe. I'm okay too if you want to open your mics every now and then to jump in. And we during this time we can't be that interactive and engaging. I invite all of you to check out Aya's work. I have some dates for you, December 3rd, 4th, and 5th. There's going to be an introduction of WHB online. It's going to be over 3 days for 3 hours each. So do check it out. At the end, I'm going to give contact information. And again, we look forward to getting connected up. I know this is a big disclaimer to let you know that I'm not trying to teach the SNI line tool. I'm trying to introduce it to you. Some of you are a little bit familiar with it, so you'll be able to flow with me. So this oppression piece has to do with the notion that we have been trained, we have been socialized with this notion that some groups are superior to others, that some groups are more capable, more smart, more worthy. They are indeed better than other groups. The other groups we could list along the bottom side of this line on the I side for inferiority. And one piece that's been updated with this tool is that one way to think of it is that the folks on the top side of the line that we've been told are superior. And again, now this is not what you believe. Please understand that we're not talking about what you believe. None of us believe in this superiority piece. At the same time, we see it in billboards, we see it on TV, we see it on the internet all day, we see it on Facebook. We see this notion that some groups are better than others. And so it does get into our consciousness. And for those of you who think you've escaped, then I'd love to have lunch with you so we can check it out and just look at it. All of us are able to escape it at some point, in some ways, and none of us escape it in all ways. So one new piece with this is that for the folks that we've been told are superior, we will find that they tend to discount and dominate others. And I can't even take that long a time to go up here and look at the groups, but I will look here. I'll say white people. Okay, that's the group that usually comes up first. And you can put every other people in relation to the white people along this line. And then for the I side of the line, we're talking about groups who doubt self and defer to others. Okay, groups along this line, we're trained, we're socialized to doubt ourselves and to defer to others. And if I had time, we'd examine some of the other groups up here. And for right now, we're going to move on along. So with these groups that I work with around money and these tools, they got really, really clear about what they learned as children, like who's running things, who is smart, who is capable in terms of groups, and then people that are not as smart, not as capable, can't be trusted, can't trust themselves, and will need to look to others. Great thing to do. So in considering this S&I line, it's always good to ask what groups have we been told are better at money and finances? What groups are worse? Who's smarter? Who's capable? Now, when we locate ourselves along these lines, and let me take the time to say this line, it has some serious nuances. When we do the examination to see what groups we belong to, that we ourselves would place along that line, not for what we believe, what we've been told, what we've seen a lot about this line. And let me just quickly say too, so you can get a better feel for it. We're talking about not only what we're told, how these groups are treated. Like, and one thing to consider is like, who gets most of society's resources? So let's just go to the stimulus. Who got most of society's resources? It was the folks who had the most money. It was that 1% that got the most money. So when it comes to resources, the folks who are told or treated as if they are superior, they're at the front of the line, and the rest of us have to line up. Okay, the rest of people have to line up after those folks. So that's one more nuance about the line. This line and how we've been socialized to see ourselves along this line will have everything to do with how we work with our finances. And this socialization will wreck our budget. And we're going to take a look at some nuances about a budget a little bit later. And I'm going to show you some things that I learned from the groups that I've worked with about how all of what they learn about these tools do come into play. Now, one thing that all of us are tempted to do right away, okay, is say, okay, yeah, I was socialized to believe that I was at the bottom of the line. I'm Black. I'll go to myself. I'm a woman. I grew up on a dirt road, poor on the other side of the tracks. I let's see what else. Let's see what else. Let's see what else. Um, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. So I'm going to do a smart thing. I'm going to get myself to the top of the line. I'm going to get myself into some groups along the top of the line so I can prove that I am enough and that I'm worthy. So I'm going to get a college degree. I got myself a master's social work degree. I'm going to own some property. Okay. I was also told that I wasn't that beautiful, you know. In fact, I wasn't beautiful at all as a dark skinned nappy head girl. So I'm gonna get me some hair. I might even brighten up my skin a little bit, okay, because I need to get to the top of that line, and then I will be worthy. And I want to say that while we may be tempted to try to do that, that's not the way out of that line. That's not the way out of off of that line to see ourselves as truly worthy, truly enough, uh, truly powerful, truly capable, authentically. Okay. Um, so we do that though. We look to things like education, what I look like, what I drive. I remember seeing a young man at a what do you call them, convenience store one morning close to my house. I'd gone to get gas, and he was like parked uh, in a parking spot. And he had these rims that I know some of the young brothers would say you could die for. I can't remember what the, maybe 30 inch, is that big? They were huge and they were shiny and like, you know, they were real spinners, if that's still a word. And all these young sisters were like surrounding his car. He's getting all this attention, all this you know, all these big ups for these rims. And I was realizing that he done a smart thing to bring this attention to himself, to get this attention, to get um, this approval, this sense of he is on it. He's getting all this praise to his being. And I remember thinking, oh, that's too bad. I bet, you know, I wonder if he can afford to do that. And when can you afford to do that? And I remember thinking the money he's spending on that, I would use to buy a good used car, and it brought some judgment about how I figured he might be trying to get to the top of that line or look like he's on top of that line. And then I reminded myself of my peers. Sometimes at my level, I'm 62, 2 years old. We do things like have 5,000 square feet of house when it's just one of us, because that 5,000 square feet of home tells me that I am somebody. I learned this when I did some fighting against some banks for this very house that I still sit in, and realizing that I might lose it, and started asking myself like, so who am I anyway? Like if I don't have a home, like if not I'm not a homeowner. I mean, having a home showed that that I was capable, that I was responsible. I was all these things that said that I was somebody. So just to ponder, and the reason it's important is sometimes that we won't stay on track with our financial goals because this issue of what we look like, how we look like we are, and how we matter, and what our worth is, does get into the way. So hopefully I made that point. What do our feelings matter? What do they matter? You know, if you go to a financial planner, has anybody, you can put this into the chat, and when you've gone to a financial planner, do they ever really want to I'm trying to see the chat now. I realize I don't see it. Do they ask you much about your feelings? You know, is it like, well, yes, Miss Smith, how are you feeling about this or that? You know, or you know, what's up for you about that? You know, no, usually it's like, okay, this is what you need to do this, like we're robots, right? This, like I said, I need to have some flow charts, some spreadsheets. You know, I need some projections, the financial projection from this time to this time. Do this, do that, and feelings don't matter. Well, feelings matter. whole heck of a lot. They matter a whole heck of a lot. So let's say if I went for some financial counseling right now, it's like, well, I don't have a 401k. You don't have a 401k? Wow. Okay. So depending on how I might relate to myself in that way, I could just become so depressed about that. I'll use the word that we normally say, that I wouldn't want to go back to that person and might not really want to look at it, right? Or let's say the rule of 72. Yeah, I remember learning about the rule of 72, and I didn't put it to work. So it's like, wow, like I could become really despondent and just not motivated at all to do anything when it comes to financial planning. If it's not going to be really about me, who I am, where I've been, what my journey has been, and how I feel about that journey, then in some ways I won't be that fully engaged. And let's say that I go through the motions, so it's like I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna go ahead and do that, and I just want to say, some of you've already experienced this, like these feelings do still keep coming up. And what about the scare of a 65-year-old person who maybe, let's say, who hasn't done it like they say we should do it, uh, and they don't really know what to do about that. There are a lot of fears, a lot of sense of danger, and they don't know what to do with it. Uh, and let's say about the person who did do it exactly like they said do it and lost money, right? You go back to 2006 through 2008, a lot of loss of money. And then let's go to one of my mamas that I worked with. Um, the brother, the husband, had a criminal offense, and he was their children's father. So she took all of her money out of her 401k to support him. Sometimes we make those choices. So we wind up in a place where we didn't want to be, and we don't have any real tools to like get ourselves squared with that so we can go forward. We're going to talk a little bit about, we'll get to storytelling from the inside out, telling ourselves about losses that we've had, so we can move forward with some energy and with some conviction and learning from our errors to go forward. So I want to just say real quickly here that the reason this tool is so important is that sometimes we're not literate with our feelings. We're not really clear about what we're feeling. And sometimes we're not authentic in terms of what we are able to show, and they're all jumbled up. So let's say that I do feel sad that I didn't use the rule 72. I don't know how to show my sadness with that though. So I just feel mad about it. And I may even go to a place of blame. Not going to get too far with that. Let's say that I feel scared about being 62 and not having certain pieces in place. I don't know who can I show my scare to? I can't even show it to myself. So all I know is that I'm just always reeling and feeling anxious. Whereas with the scared feeling, I could be clear about the danger. Okay, maybe there's not much as much in place as I wanted to retire. The following the message off scare, I'm just gonna show you the spotlight here again. Right here, I could say I need protection, support, reassurance that that danger won't happen, that I won't get to be 72, 82 and not be able to work as much as I work now and not have my basics covered. So going this way, one, I can evaluate and see how close I am to the mark that I was aiming for. Also see exactly what I do need. Also be creative now to say, well, actually, I thought I needed this and now I don't. Actually, I can go this way. At the end of the day, I can get protection, support, reassurance to then still work to reach my goal. And I can also enlist the support of others. All right. Sometimes because we're not clear about our feelings, I can maybe substitute some mad. I can also substitute some powerful for that scared. Oh, like bump it, like, huh, I ain't worried about it. You know what? Like, I'll be all right. I bump it. I'm gonna substitute some powerful, or I could just substitute peaceful. You know what? Uh, God will take care of it. You know, I, you know, she will do it. However, we want to go to where we're just not feeling this fear of danger, because there's a real danger, you know, for me to have basic taken care of when I'm no longer able to work. So hopefully you get a feel for that, and I haven't even gone through what these messages are with the feelings. Some of you can see them, and some of you are aware of them, and you'll be really clear about what I'm trying to say. What I am trying to say, let me just say real quickly, is that each of these feelings carry a message, and as we get clear about the message, they will be so helpful in helping us figure out what we want to do, how we want to go forward to realize any financial goal that we might have. And I'm gonna roll on here. This one here, River of Touches. Oh my goodness, so important. This tool distinguishes between our being and our doing, and pretty much just has us have a I'm going to say a good exhale to say that whatever we've done or not done financially with our money or not with our money isn't who we are. Okay. Um, it's not who we are. It has to do with our behavior. It has to do with our behavior and our getting real clear about praising who we are, who we're working to be, the persons that we're striving to be, we're building ourselves to be, always building ourselves up there, being clear about outcomes that we haven't wanted and still don't want, and getting clear about that, and learning some lessons to make those different. And always, though, always being clear about this one, the praise being quadrant. And that is who we are as a person, who we are at our essence. Again, what our intentions are, what we're striving to be and do. And again, I encourage you to get connected up with this tool. And because part of what it does, and I don't have the graphic here to even show it, is that it closes off this area of our negating our being, of our saying that we aren't good enough, we aren't smart enough, we aren't enough. And as we do make mistakes, um, that we learn from those mistakes, and we also keep praising our beings to keep making ourselves strong. So this negate being area can come, this negate being sense for ourselves can come from being told that we are inferior, that we are not enough, we are not good enough. We're either too much of something, I'm too gullible and too trusting. Let's say some people accuse people of being when it comes to finances, or I'm too I'm too black, you know. I just want to deal with black people. I just want to are you too something? um you hear things like too anal, all these things of saying what you are or not, that does not praise who you are. Okay, that's what we mean by negate being. And with this tool and with practice and training and support from each other, we learn how to close off this one. We learn how to not go there with ourselves and with each other. All right, so now just telling a story from the inside out. um this has to do with, and this was so helpful for the folks that I've worked with over the years. I want to think about the growing mamas at Truly Living Well. Doing this exercise was so helpful to get us unstuck. Okay. Um, and what we had to do here, we had to figure out a blunder. And I assume that somebody on here has had a blunder. I'm gonna assume everybody has. I don't know if you all are in touch with it or not, or if it's up for you, but it's some mistake you've made. You know, you had an outcome that you didn't want financially, either something you did or maybe you didn't do. And here, the steps for this, I'm going to say them real quickly, and maybe you can take a note or two, is to be clear about what you were trying to do. Okay, you were trying to have something happen. You had a goal and a vision. You had an aspiration. You had great motivation. Um, let's see if I can use one real quickly here. I usually use one with Kessa and myself having our first business of a neighborhood grocery store. That's a good story to illustrate this. I'm going to use one off the cuff today as I also keep myself on this journey of growing. Um, I'm going to use one of maybe 2 years ago. I had a car accident, and on this day, and I was at fault, unfortunately, the day before, my car insurance had expired, and I didn't know. I bought this policy online. At the end of the day, to me, it wasn't apparent that it wasn't going to renew. They didn't tell me, at least in ways that I saw. Um, and I missed it. And the one reason why this insurance would expire is that my daughters had been on my policy. And when as some of you know, when you have like two accidents, they both had accidents. I think that year, the last 2 years. Anyway, it didn't renew. That's the bottom line. And sometimes we can know how much we're into, how we value ourselves in certain ways and pride ourselves because of how long it will take to tell this part. I'm one of those people who really believe in, having those kinds of things taken care of, and I missed it. So it's something like this. It's like, I've known two families now who had fires, and the homeowners insurance wasn't intact. We know these things can happen. So with me doing this exercise, I would say what my great intention was. It was to renew this policy, or at least know that it wasn't going to be renewed and take care of it. I also was trying to support my daughters, and that's important too. They were young, and needed that support. Um, I made efforts. I thought I was making the efforts. Not much to say right here, because I thought it was done. Some lessons, definite lessons, is to really pay good attention to all kinds of insurance, and just major things like that have to do with things that can really, 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 really affect us tremendously when it comes to insurance. So, um, now, I want to point you to number three. When you're going through this, and I'm going really, really fast for the sake of time, you want to say how you were successful. I was successful at, getting this policy, paying this policy. I got a really good policy, and I thought paying it on time. I thought it was done. Um, what I learned from my failures is, as it to really look out for it. Lessons, those are pretty much the lessons. And then also go ahead and face what I needed to face, and do the best that I could with that as well. So, oh, I heard all kinds of stories, being left with these young, especially young mamas, being left with apartment balances that they had to deal with, helping out family members, and suffering. All of you have your stories. I have found with myself, and when these women confirmed it, that sometimes with our finances, unless we go back and tell this story in a way that informs us and affirms us, teaches us lessons, and then also shows us how to go forward, we can be stuck. We can really get stuck in handling our finances. So I invite all of you to do that. And again, get connected up with some of this training as we go forward. So let's go now to budgeting real quickly. And Mama Raina, I'm watching the time. Um, One of my pieces with the Growing Mamas was to help them with what was for all of us to just jump in here and work on budgeting. And one of the most um, important transformative things that I was able to do was to walk in there and affirm to all of us that we already budget. And I'm going to say why I would say that. And I think I thank Wakessa for this, because as I was working on this segment of that training, he's like, yeah, everybody budgets. We may not be happy with how we do it, all of us budget, because we're all spending money and we're all earning money. And that's why I'll say that we all are budgeting. We're bringing in money of some amount, and we're also expending it. Um, and so it was good for me to, and this happened with urban green jobs too, for folks to say how they were doing it. Some of us are doing it by hand. And I'll never forget a sister saying she needs to do it by hand. Something about that, I don't know, eye-hand coordination just kind of keeps her kind of connected up to it. Looks like she was doing a pretty good job. And I did say to her, you know, um, there are some drawbacks to doing it by hand, some changes that you could readily make are more difficult to do by hand, and invited her to, if she wanted to do it by computer, that she could get some support with that. Some of us are doing it in our heads, and do a pretty good job at it, especially if it's a simple budget. And then as it gets more complicated, um, there'll be some drawbacks, right? Like, so you have a home, the taxes are going to come due only once a year. And if you haven't budgeted to have the money to pay it at that time, then it's going to be obvious. Some of us are doing it by spreadsheets. Some of us are using various computer programs, various computer software. Most of us want to improve in some way or another. That's the thing that was obvious. Most of us want to improve in some way or another. How can we improve? Um, all the stuff that comes up when working a budget, it's going to keep coming up. Whatever it is, whether we tell ourselves we don't have enough time, or somehow we're still over budget. Well, just whatever comes up, it keeps coming up. There is minutia. I call it minutia. I don't know if I spelled it even the way I want to spell it, but that's how I say it. That keeps coming up. Clearing out some of our wounds of oppression will help does help a whole lot, and then doing the work to heal the wounds of oppression certainly does make a difference. And I've seen tremendously for myself and for others how using these WHV tools can be a game changer. So now for the rest of my time, I want to show you a little bit about, as we worked on budgeting last time I did this with Urban Green Jobs, how some things that came up that were very useful to folks as they were getting through it. As I said before, I'm going to get the spotlight again. Income is always going to be there. And before I go here, I want to stop and say, you'll hear people say that when you don't have that much money, you might as well not budget. I do want to just come out straight up that we especially need the budget, right? We especially need a plan. And I just want to say that. I just want to say that because there is that notion. So when it comes to income, one of my first questions was, does the process of obtaining income in any way negate your being? So that's important. And this maybe will point to the way of our finding more ways to earn income. Like, are we earning income in some ways that do negate our being, tell us that we're not good enough, we're not enough? And if so, then are there some other ways to earn more income? There always is. It's just a matter of seeing it. And if there are, what gets in our way? Okay. So there's income. And another thing that came up, of course, eventually, it comes up usually when we get to expenses, is that, are we earning enough? Are we earning enough income? And how can we earn more? Emergency fund, these are some of what maybe doesn't get accounted for when we're doing it in our heads or by paper, pencil. Car repairs. I buy good used cars, so they always come up. Property tax bill once a year. We do lose jobs. We do lose business income. Medical and dental emergency. Sinking fund, this is not here. It didn't carry over. I had a little comment here in the spreadsheet. Sinking fund, some of you are familiar with, it's not things that may come up. It's things we want to come up. These things are going to come up when we're not expecting them to. Sinking fund, we want to come up. We want a vacation. We want a new car. We want to spend more time with the grandchildren. We want to spend some time with our own children. Just spend some time, right? We want to take that trip to Africa. We want to go along with Mama Raina with Black sustainability once they go, as they're planning to. We want to do these things. How can we budget on a regular basis to ensure that the money is there? We call that a sinking fund. Expenses. Any fears regarding having enough money for the month? And there were fears for every group that I worked with. If so, follow the messages of scare. And the message there is, what's the danger? And what's the protection, support, reassurance that I can come up with to better ensure that I will have the money to cover these expenses, okay? Any sadness. Sadness has to do with loss. And I can't take much time at all. The message though is grieving the loss, and that is getting the time, the space and support to grieve losses and then let them go. When we don't let losses go, we can get stuck on them, and this being stuck, this stuckenness, I'll call it, will affect how we work our finances. Is there any room to cut expenses? Any room to cut? Cut. Where are my scissors? And I know people always thinking, there's no more room. There's no more room. And there's always room. I've come to know, okay? And as we think about cutting cutting these expenses, does it say anything negative about us as a person? So if I got to cut, maybe go to a one-car family and we got to give up this luxury car, what does that say about the family? Okay, what does it say about me? This is where we get into who we are at our being level. Then we're going to put in some utilities here, y'all. We're going to cover some old debts. Could be student loans that comes up a lot. Could be credit card debt. Could be some of these blunders that I like the one that I had, accidents, blunders. So here are the questions here. Have you grieved and let go of any losses regarding these old debts? Have you told the stories of these debts from the inside out, affirming any lessons you are applying? And then we got investments. We got investments here, whether IRAs, real estate, into our businesses, into each other, into how we're going to sustain ourselves. And that's why we're here at this conference. And I'm so glad to be here. And where am I? Let me, I'm thinking that I'm almost done. Oh, wow. What I learned real quickly, finances can be a taboo subject in terms of our talking about it. Financial money success has largely to do with our success in relationships, trust of ourselves and of each other, in ourselves and in each other. We need to distinguish between our behavior, our actions, our outcomes from who we are. We can tell our stories from the inside out. As Africans, we are social beings. We tend to make more success together. So in that vein, I'm inviting all of us to find a place to heal our wounds together and to succeed together. And then don't go our budgeting alone. Get a partner, buddy, or group. And I still have a couple minutes. I'm gonna also, excuse me, come on. It's not turning. I'm gonna say here that this young sister in the True Living Well program said to me that she was a single mom. And I'll never forget her. And she still calls to me to do what I'm gonna say I'm gonna do, and y'all can look forward to. She said that on Friday night, the children's father get the children, and she's able to kick back a little bit. And she'd been telling herself she was going to do her budgeting at that time. And she'll sit down to try to work on it, and invariably she'll get a phone call, and some of her friends will invite her out to go skating. And she needs to go skating. She needs that break from the children. She needs the connection with her friends. You know that she needs that, and she needs to do her budgeting. And the budgeting for her very often was there was something difficult. It wasn't, habits. One thing I've been learning about habits is if we can make them attractive, if we can make them something that we want to go back to over and over. Like if she could, as I finally realized, if she could know that there'd be some other sisters that she could get together with on Friday night to budget with, she might more readily do it. So that day I said to her, you know what? I'm going to start a group of Black women whereby we can get together on Friday night and come together in a session just like this, a Zoom session. And Zoom sessions weren't that popular at the time as they are now, given the COVID-19. And we will support each other in working our budgets, whether we're doing them by hand, by computer programs. We will support each other to keep getting better, realizing our goals that we have. And I didn't say y'all, but budgets always need goals. We always need to say where we're getting to, not just rudimentarily, okay, this is the money, this is income, this is expenses. No, what are we working for? And they're for us. They're for us. They're to guide and support us. Again, support each other, love ourselves through developing that skill as we look at any wounds of oppression that come up, and utilize these tools that I've just given you a smidget of a peek into today to help us to do it. And Mama Raina, it's 12:45. I'm going to stop sharing. That last slide that I was trying to get up does have some contact information.
Oh,
Mama
go
Raina.
back. That's fine.
Okay.
So rigid. Yes, thank you.
Let's see if I can go back and get it to go without me sharing. You know, it might not update it. Just 1 second. I'm going to go another way.
It's no problem. While she's pulling up that contact information, I want you all to go to the chat and the Q&A and start typing in your questions. For those of you who have questions that are on your heart, I can read them out loud. Once she has it up, I will open the floor. And for anyone who's not able to type into the chat and who's only joining by phone, I'd like to start with you all and then go to those who did have the opportunity to chat. That way, if we run out of time, Mama Afiya can go back and answer your questions. So please put them in the chat if you have that capability. And if you do not, I would like to ask you to open your microphones once she finishes showing her slide. She's looking intense.
I taken some update information from another slide. Marina, I'm going to type into the chat.
Okay.
If I can do that. But yeah, let's go ahead and get these questions going.
All right, who's up first? Questions. There we go. Felicia Bell hopped right in there. Go for it.
Hey, Mama Afiya.
Hey, Mama Felicia.
How are you today?
I am feeling good.
That's good. So my question is, why do we have fear sometimes diversifying into other assets?
You say assets or aspects or assets?
Assets. So it seems like we're fearful to start exploring the gold, the silver, the cryptocurrency. Where is that coming from? Just the fear of exploring and acknowledging that we may need to diversify.
Oh, okay. So Mama Felicia, just off the top, I would say, hopefully everybody can see that contact info. I would say that, a lot of it has to do with not wanting to make a mistake. And I want to relate it back to the S&I line. I found this for myself to be true, and for others, it's like, if I try this and it doesn't work out, it just kind of proves again that I don't know what I'm doing. I find that with us as a people, that's one reason why people don't start businesses. I might not do a perfect job, or somebody may get the misunderstanding about me. They may not think that I'm whatever, capable or sincere. All this, a lot of it has to do with our just not wanting to make a mistake. Because if I make a mistake, this is where the doing and the being comes. If I do something and it doesn't turn out right, it just confirms these things about me. And we don't want that. So I find that a lot of it's just basic fright, kind of stage fright. And if we can have some steps where folk can kind of more easily move into some of these things, I think we'll see it happening more readily. So there's lack of trust in self and others. So if I don't trust myself, why would I want to join up with you with some of these things too? Because if I don't trust myself, how can I trust you? I'm not going to trust people that look just like me. And I did see it with the Uhuru Asusu. I didn't mention it, but some of you are aware that we formed an Uhuru Asusu back in 2008. No, I'm sorry. No, it's more like 2010. And we bought some property together. It worked out well for us with that venture because we taught these tools and we had to all use these tools. It was a prerequisite coming in that people would learn these tools because we needed the safety, we needed the skill to say when we felt scared. We needed that. So that's a long answer.
Sophia, for those who don't know what a susu is, would you please explain it for those who are unaware?
Yes, ma'am. A susu, it's commonly where we put money together, right? And normally we handle our business on a monthly basis. So like, let's say, I don't know how many people are in here, but 10 of us got together and we're going to put in $500 a month into a pot. So every Sunday, no, not every Sunday, once a month on Sunday, we come together, and this month, Raina gets the pot. She's going to get $5,000, right? The next Sunday, I saw Mama Nabatu come in. The next month, she'll get the pot. She'll get $5,000. Excellent way to run money. And in that case, it was we can do it all by hand, which is why some folks call it hand club. You'll see these all over Africa. You'll see them in the Caribbean, sometimes called tontines in the Cameroons. You see them all throughout your major cities now. People have been using susus to pay property taxes. Some people send their children to college. Now, in our case, and you'll hear stories of success. You'll also hear every now and then somebody ran off and didn't complete, right? They got their hand and then they left. So there's that concern that we'll all have in us, right? When we first came together in the Ahura Susu, we all had to say which Black person who was closest to us taught us not to trust other Black people when it comes to money. And guess what my answer was? My mother, okay, who I love dearly. She was a great woman, great at many things. And because of her wounds of oppression, she didn't trust any other Black people with money. And so everybody else working with me knew that already. So if they saw me getting a little squirmish, right, they already knew, right? So with the Ahura Susu too, we weren't doing it monthly because we had to accrue 15 grand. So we were accruing every 3 months. Right. So it did require us to be way more formal with it. We had to form an entity together. We had to do some paperwork, make ourselves an entity and make it happen. So Mama Felicia, I have seen it in this case, very successful. I've seen some other instances too, very successful. Me personally, if I were gonna like work together, I would want folks to know these tools because these are tools that I know. These are tools that I know will help when those doubts come up, because we've been trained to have those doubts, y'all. And I don't care how conscious we are. Some of us think that we're beyond it, right? And no, no, it's just where the points are. They're different for all of us, where the points are. So Mom Felicia, my short answer is that we feel scared. And I count myself in there. We feel scared. We're not mature down the line yet as a people, only because you can think about it. Some of our parents never even took some of this on to try to work assets together, whether it's other currencies or just any other ways of building. So I say that all to say that we are striving, we're here to do it. And I think we need tools and we need safe spaces. We need safe spaces where we do agree to some frameworks that we all understand and agree to adhere to as we do this rebuilding of trust together, because it has to be rebuilt. It has to be rebuilt. It has to be sustained. Okay.
Also, I want to say it's important that we trust our higher selves in the process of what we do. When it comes to business, anything, we have to also learn how to trust our higher selves, because if we just do things without following that feeling that we have within ourselves, there could be problems along the line. So we also have to trust that voice within ourselves when we're told to do something, to go ahead and do it. So absolutely. I think that's one thing that we have to start really get in tune with, because a lot of times we're not able to move forward as a people because we're not listening to that voice, you know.
And Afiya, and also Felicia and everyone, in reference to the Susu helped me. I'm saying I'm 72 now, but it paid my my daughter's college tuition when she was undergraduate. She was undergraduate. Now she has her PhD, but I didn't go that far. Only in reference to her bachelor's, and so it paid. So that's the traditional Susu, but you have to be careful today that there are using words like Susu, and they're not very good. So you have to know the traditional. So I believe in the Susu.
Thank you for making that point.
I believe in this. Yes, I believe in the Susu. I also studied cryptocurrency. I have Litecoin. I have Bitcoin. I have, I forgot, there was another one. I can't think of it. Just have a little of it, because I needed to learn to bring that valuable information to my community and to my people. That's why I do it. And I believe in bartering. I want our people to know that everything is money, what they may say the dollar, forget the dollar. You learn to barter. And so we do that also.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you, Mama Vivian. Absolutely.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Also, there's a point that I intended to make. Baba Charles is in the session. Big ups, Baba Charles. When I was working with Urban Green Jobs the last time, a concept came up, financial authenticity. And I want to say that I thank Baba Charles for that. And I look forward to doing more with it. That with all of what we're doing with ourselves and also working together, the more authentic we can be, you know, and our whole selves, the better. And that's what's needed all the way around. And Baba Charles, I thank you for that notion of authenticity. Authenticity undergirds all of our work here at the IA Educational Institute. And because of our long night of oppression, as I've said, because of all the injected oppression, it's very difficult to walk in authenticity. Most of us intend to do it, to show up as we know ourselves and showing ourselves who we are in the most healthy and whole ways. And again, these tools help us to do that. So thank you again, Baba Charles. All right.
Yes, yes. For those who, I know we're coming up on our time, please, please, please put your questions in the chat so that Mama Afiya can address them even after the session is done and over. I did see a few others come in, and I'm glad that the comment around the susu was brought up around some things that are kind of being taken as a susu. I'll share while I'm switching my window that I had seen. I was exposed to being a part of a susu. I don't know if Brother Bookman is on, but it was definitely a testament and a trial to say, yes, okay, I get the concept of what it is and what it could be. It's different when you actually participate because those feelings genuinely do come up. And I was like, okay, I'm not gonna be the first one, but I don't wanna be the last one just in case something goes wrong. Put me for number 5, you know, it's out of 10 people. And by the third person that got there, I was like, oh, is it gonna happen? Is it gonna happen? And he was like, we need the money in hand. Don't give me any transfers. Let's do it. So I'm putting mine in and I want to get mine back. And when that 5th round came through, I was like, yes, I'm looking forward to putting the rest of my funds in here to make sure that everyone else gets that receipt. So it's also a trust builder for me to go through that process. And I know that that's not the only way in which we can have alternative currency, but for me, that was one of the most powerful and healing processes to go through because we do equate, you know, financial resources a lot higher than we actually should, right? It should be a balance on that equal line. And it was very healing to have that happen. So that's just my interjected point. And I'll read this last question, I believe. Or actually, let me leave the questions up and let people unmute their microphones because you can go back to those questions. Let me do that instead. Anyone else have a question on the call that did not put it in the chat that cannot type their question?
Greetings. This is Mama Labantu coming back in. Can you hear me okay? Okay. The susus that's going around right now, I did it 30 years ago. And what I found was that if you didn't get in the very beginning, by the end, you would lose your money. As a result of that, people didn't know how to do their taxes properly because, you know, the government wants you to pay taxes on whatever amount of money you receive. And a couple of people end up going to jail as a result of it. I know some of the folks who I've heard, because my daughter was getting into it, and they were talking about how to handle the taxes when you get a large sum of money and how to do it. But overall, if you look at the mathematical algorithms, at some point you run out of people. And so that's the only issue. Well, that is the main issue for me why I wasn't about to go and lose more money. You find out if it started yesterday, yeah, you'll get some money, but at a certain point you don't.
Are you talking about the traditional susu or are you talking about this guise of this fake stuff?
I'm talking about the disguise.
Oh yeah,
yeah, that's very different. And the reason why the traditional susus don't pay taxes is that there's no profit. There's no profit. There's no profit. It's just a matter of when you're getting money. It's like, you know, at the end of the day, you're not going to get it any more than you put in. And that's, yeah. So thank you, Mama Labantu.
Yes, please make sure you go to AYAED, that's AYAED .com if you want to stay in contact, and you can find more below underneath Mama Afiya's bio.
Thank you, Mama Afiya.
Thank you. Thank y'all.
Technique, now I lost my African direction. My opera messed up my ori. And used to take it from you, now you give it up.